Aaron, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We have a 30-second intro, so anyone that goes to a Zoom meeting knows that you can run somewhere in your house and run back, and no one knows.
What are you talking about?
I just ran all the way downstairs
Oh,
because I was so excited about our guest today for Drinks with Leaders. And I'm out of breath.
Why are you so tan? Where'd you go?
So went to spring break just with the kiddos and Julie, and so went with another family, but they're not in school, and these little kids are just hard to run around, so we try to entertain them with other children.
You went to Florida, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We went to the Dominican.
I know.
I feel like you got tanner than me, and I was in the Dominican.
Well, you got pretty burned.
I did get burned. I got really burned.
Yeah. What is for the audience members watching, we wanted to tell us where they're tuning in from, and we want them to comment so we can repeat what they say. But also, what advice do you have for people that travel out of the country for sunscreen?
Nobody told me this, but do not buy the sunscreen out of the country. Somehow, we just brought carry-on, so I'm like, we'll buy it there. But the sunscreen is made different here, so take it with you, even if it's in the small bottles. We learned that. Everybody thought, apparently that's a well-known fact by everybody else but me, because everybody else, you didn't bring your own sunscreen? I'm like, no, I thought this $40 I spent per bottle here at the resort was going to cover it, but no. Yeah, we got pretty sunburned. But look, who's already in? Paul Fogel watching. April Fools. I'm watching from a chair tent at Vail. April Fools. We were just talking with our guests about it being April Fool's Day. I was trying to think if I could do a trick here, but honestly, so many people watch the show afterwards too that it won't make sense.
Yeah, well, we should have consulted our comedy writer, Paul Fogel, but we didn't. But you know what? You're busy running an agency and just cranking. You got people that work for you. You got stuff to do.
Scott, I was going to make the announcement on the new business today. Remember how that's been my goal? It's by April 1st. And then I woke up today and I said, because we had it all pre-planned. And I was like, oh my God, we have to change to April 2nd. No one will believe me. It's April Fool's Day. I just didn't even think that part through because I've been so nose to ground. But I am going to make it here. Can I make it here real quick?
Yes.
Awesome. Let me make it. Great. So if you're watching this, then tomorrow when I announce on my LinkedIn, act like you didn't know. All right. I actually have opened up a second agency that just focuses on law firm marketing. Super excited about this. So it's called Legal Growth Partners. You can find us at legalgrowthpartners.com. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. We've had content going, but it's really exciting because I love Lily and James, and nothing's going to change for our current Lily and James clients, but we've been doing so much attorney marketing, and I've been speaking at so many CLEs, it made sense to open up a second agency. So now I'm trying to run two businesses.
What's the name of the agency?
Legal Growth Partners.
Legal Growth Partners. Legal Growth Partners. No offense, Bestway International, because you've got a busy day coming up with April 2nd and tariffs, and Evardy, you're building everything. But Aaron's new agency is going to crush. And for everyone that knows, you were already doing a ton of it.
Yeah, we've been doing our longest long-term clients are attorneys. So this fits super into what we were already doing. And because we're so good at that branding piece, attorneys really need branding more than ever. So it all made a lot of sense. So I spent some time in Miami last month and figuring this out. So Legal Growth Partners. Thank you, Jessica. Jessica also knew. Jessica, I think, helped refer people here today. So Jessica also said, hey, love you people. Thanks for bringing fun conversations to LinkedIn. All right. Well, let us know. Thank you, Jessica. Like Jessica and Paul, are you watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook? Are you watching live or are you watching the replay? I think that's enough about us. Should we bring in our guests?
Yeah, shout out to Jessica. She's awesome. Let's bring them in, though.
All right. I forgot to warn our guests that we play world's worst music when we introduce them. So
it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
1980s frat music.
Okay. Our first guest, we got to one here today, are Rich and Jay. And our second guest,
how's it going?
I'm so sorry, guys. I also know we go ladies first, but Joy asked that we go in this order today, so we're pretty excited. All right, so you have to do opposite. When you're pointing, yep, it's always opposite. It's very hard to get used to, but then you eventually get it. All right, so let's start here. Jake and Rich, who are you guys? What do you do, and how do you get to Kansas City?
Heck yeah. So my name's Jake McPhee, born and raised here in Kansas City. I'm one of the co-founders and principals of Opal Arch Development. We are a vertically integrated property development company right now specializing in commercial renovations. Again, I was born in Northland, went to Park Hill High School before attending the University of Southern California, where I majored in real estate development. Worked at a few great shops through internships while I was out there in different avenues of real estate before coming back to Kansas City to start Opal Arch with my good friend here and partner, Rich Wiles. I'll let him take the floor.
Oh, good transition.
2 minutes and 20 seconds. I love it. Yeah, my name is Rich Wiles. I was actually born here in Kansas City, moved to Oregon and then New York City as a child, and then came back to KC around high school. Went to Bishop Miege, left Kansas City to go to culinary school in New York. Graduated from culinary school, came back, and with a partner opened up Westport Cafe. Did that and a couple other restaurant concepts in the Westport area. And then I lost my hair and my wife was like, no more. So sold that back in 2016 and started working with the family office doing multifamily, so primarily apartment complexes around the Westport, West Plaza area. And then in 2020, bought into Tiki Taco, a restaurant concept here in town. And we've been growing that, scaling it for the last few years. And then with Jake, started Opal about 2 years ago and focused on commercial tenant improvement work, currently building the Tiki Taco in Olathe, which is our 4th brick and mortar, and hoping they give us the job in Shawnee, which will be our 5th. So yeah, didn't think I was going to be under on time.
No, I think that's great. And Rich's background in hospitality as a restaurateur really informs a lot of our work in both development and construction industries now. We're able to connect with our clients, I think, in a very meaningful way. Having his experience on the team, he can look at spaces and see problems before they arise, help them kind of direct towards the right path forward on a lot of these, again, hospitality related projects that we're starting to do more and more of as we continue to grow.
Rich, outside of Tiki Taco, what are some other projects?
Outside of Tiki Taco, between Tiki, Opal Arch, and a small portfolio of real estate that I own, that keeps me busy enough.
Awesome. Okay, I have a very important question. Jake, are you rooting for UConn women now that they've knocked out USC?
Sorry, say that again.
Are you rooting for UConn women now that they've knocked out USC in the Final Four?
I always like to go that route, right? If you get beaten, then just maybe it's good to root for those people to win it all, because then at least you can say like, well, we got beaten by the best, who won the whole thing. So
and it's Paige Buckers who's the best. So okay, yeah, I like USC a lot. So it kind of was a bummer that they had to play UConn, but UConn's gonna win. So good deal. Awesome. All right, Joy, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Okay. I am a personal development trainer with Intermatrix Systems. I'm a certified trainer, and we train high achievers in the art and science of personal mastery. And a high achiever, the way we define that, is somebody who is interested in growing and improving, becoming great leaders, becoming great parents, working well with kids. Yeah, and I also work with athletes. And we use a training system that combines the best of the East with the best of the West. And so ancient wisdom practices combined with neurobiology, neuropsychology, and neuroscience. And we train, align, rewire thought strategies, emotions, and the nervous system to create real life results. So I like to think of us as training the inner game of performance.
Do you use a lot of personality exams to identify and work with your clients?
We don't, because we work with pattern dynamics. And it's very interesting because like we've actually had people that have done personality tests through work, and we take them through our training system, and if they get the test again, their test results tend to change. So we don't rely on personality tests. I went through, I'm a former lawyer, so I was interested in hearing you talk about, yeah, I work with a lot of lawyers. We start with the premise that emotions drive thinking, thinking drives what action, and that produces your results. We can always go back to the patterns that drove the results. So we help people become aware of the patterns, and we teach them how to shift the ones they don't like that are not producing the results they want.
Okay, you caught me at athletes, right? And as a former D1 athlete, I've always been obsessed with like how a lot of D1 athletes then go into these like major like entrepreneurial driven leadership roles, right? So I guess how do you kind of see that, like what age of athletes and what level of athletes do you work with, and how do you see that translate into like the careers?
Yeah, so we work currently with a lot of professional athletes. And if I understand your question, you want to know how they would translate that later into becoming.
Well, yeah. So you're saying like attorneys, like these high achieving things, right? So I was thinking more at the college level athletes. I didn't know you were up in the professionals. That's even awesome. But I was thinking how does that, like working with you as like a college athlete or a high school athlete, then translate into these high achieving careers that you're also helping?
Yeah, well, we use the same tools and techniques with our college athletes as we use with our entrepreneurs. And like I said, it's really training using a system that trains the inner game of performance. So we use the same system. And I love getting people in college or younger, because it's such a great time to learn how to regulate and manage emotions, and how to create from there, how to create thought strategies. How to drive, like we really dig into how emotions drive. I think that's something that makes us a little bit unique. And so, holy cow, I get a college athlete that's ready, that's a high performance young adult. It's like, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, it's really cool to see what happens with those young adults.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
So Jake, you went first. Rich, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
Probably the day that I got reunited with my business partner and inevitably became the owner of Westport Cafe, or co-owner of Westport Cafe. So it's kind of a funny story. I went to culinary school in New York. I came back. I was at UMKC. I was working at restaurants around Kansas City while I was getting my degree. And my mom modeled for most of my life, just print and some TV stuff, just enough to embarrass me, like when the video game was on. And so I was moving back to Kansas City, and she's like, "Oh, you need to get comp cards taken, and the modeling agencies in Westport." I'm like, "Mom, I don't want to do that." And she was like, $100 Quick Trip gift card, and I'm like, done. So go down there, and I'm walking down Westport Road, and I look into the window of what used to be Blanc Burger that was getting transformed into Westport Cafe. And I saw Aaron, who was eventually became my business partner, but we went to culinary school together and ran into each other. Didn't know either of us was going to be back in Kansas City. And he asked me that day, within a couple of minutes of that conversation, if I wanted to be the chef. And then that turned into where I am today. So I would say that was a pretty pivotal moment that day in Westport.
Jake, most pivotal moment in your career?
Sure. Probably the moment that I started working with Rich, what was at that time kind of I don't want to call it a side hustle, but more of a part-time thing where I was helping him with a renovation project. I'd always been fascinated by entrepreneurship and knew that's the route I ultimately wanted to take. But as much as Rich is, my partner at Opal Arch, also a mentor. This is somebody who has successfully started and sold several businesses, and that's just a type of acumen that I didn't have before. So, of course, what was part-time became a full-time role at Opal Arch whenever we decided to start this company. And yeah, it all started by meeting him.
I have a quick question for Rich. Rich, a lot of times when you hear people talking about starting businesses with partners, you hear the back end of the story of how bad it went. How are you so successful in choosing business partners?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't do everything by yourself. And, a lot of people cut off their nose to spite their face. But at the same time, it's like there's enough work out there for anyone, depending on whatever industry you're in. And, for me, it's like, do I want to own 100% of this thing and I can only grow it to this point? Or would I rather team up with someone that has a little bit more energy and much more beautiful hair than me, and we can take this thing to the moon? But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's really important. Teams are very important. And I think if I've done anything, I've been really good at assembling strong teams through the various, entities, businesses that I've helped create.
In Kansas City, so small because I for years went to Westport Cafe because we knew Aaron from back in my blonde bartending days. I got a partner, but I've never met you. So.
Yeah, well, I was the brains of the operation. They kept me in the back.
You're in the back end. So perfect. Awesome. All right, Scott.
All right, Joy. What was the most pivotal point in your career?
I would say, I had a pretty good career as an attorney, and I would say it started with my discovery of this work. And I had everything. I had a great home up north, actually, in Weatherby Lake, and great family, and traveled all over the world. I had all the things, but I was just incredibly miserable inside. So I discovered this work through my physical therapist. He referred me out, and I had no idea what it was, but it made such a huge difference. A lot in my body. I'm an athlete too. I had pain in my body and just didn't know what to do with it. And I went through a divorce and had to recreate myself. And I love this work so much. I'm like, well, can I, do I go back to law, or that's my cat?
Hey.
Do I go back to law, or do I want to create something new? And so I would say, sorry.
It's just funny because Rich and Jake were cheering for the cat. This big cat.
Okay, because you're the cat.
We like it, yeah.
You're the
Go ahead,
cat.
Joy. You're talking about a pivotal moment.
Yeah, so it was that moment when I decided I was just going to start life over and do something new. And so I got into this apprentice program with this company, and actually went through 5 years of apprenticing and training, and I've been a certified trainer for 4 years, and so this has changed my life in every way imaginable. I went from really kind of not a great place and not feeling despairing and hopeless about what was next to just completely recreating myself. And I love what I do, and I love helping other people do the same. I just love the art and science of transformation.
Do you remember where you were when you found what it is that you wanted to do? That was the moment that changed your thinking?
I think it was actually, weirdly enough, it was when I was clear that I was going to divorce. And I was sitting in that moment. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I just kind of started that process of thinking, and it's then when I realized I could do something completely different.
You had to be pretty unhappy if you weren't happy at Weatherby Lake. I love those.
Weatherby Lakes, but that's the whole point. I had all the things. I did. I had all the things, and even with all the things, it's strange how, and it's a core premise of how we teach, the things outside of you don't create your inner experience.
So how happy are you now, do you say?
Very. I'm like, I live in Brookside now. I moved down here about 9 months ago. I wanted the vibe down here. I lived down here decades ago. And I'm really happy. I'm constantly doing new things. I had, actually, this is crazy. I'm like you, I was an athlete. I had double heart valve repair 2 years ago and thyroid cancer, and I am healthier and stronger now than I've ever been in my entire life. Good. Just did my VO2 max. I'm 65, and according to my VO2 max, I'm 52.
Oh God, I love that.
Just found that one out Friday.
That's a number I don't want to know about myself, but I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Rich and Jake, what are your 2025 goals? How are those going? And what can the Kansas City community do to help you?
That is a great question. I think for 2025, we recently in Q4 of 2024 brought on our first full-time employee, and that was a great transition for us. He's been absolutely crushing it. And on that note, I think that by the end of 2025, we'd like to hire at least 2 more people, full-time roles at Opal Arch. And so as far as what Kansas City can do to help us with that, if you know good people, I think, what are the roles that we're looking for? Another project manager, and then also an office administrative controller role. We haven't completely defined it yet, but if Kansas City, you know, good people who you think might fit well at Opal Arch, then please send them our way. We'd love to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, I mean, why don't you answer that question and your thoughts as well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely off to a strong start of 2025. We, you know, with my, what would be a good way to say this? I mean, just with, you know, my ownership in Tiki Taco, we've got a lot of great opportunities as Tiki kind of grows. So, you know, we're building that store in Olathe right now. I think it's came out in the news, so I don't think I'm saying anything out of line, but we're opening a 5th restaurant in Shawnee. So hopefully, you know, they'll give us the contract on that one. So definitely a lot of growth on that side, and, you know, not to verge too far off onto the Tiki stuff, but we do hope to open between 6 and 9 additional units in 2026.
Wow.
So, you know, the stuff that we're building right now, we're trying to get really, really good at building for Tiki, of course, other things too, but, you know, it could keep us pretty busy. So I'm really excited on that front. And we're really looking at a lot of cool development opportunities right now as well. Whether it's taking vacant dirt that we already own and building something, or buying a shopping center and doing a refresh. So definitely have a few irons in the fire.
I have 2 very important questions. Where is the Tiki Taco in Olathe going?
It's about 119th and Black Bob.
Oh, that's perfect. That's right by my house. And do you guys have margaritas there, or is it just food?
There are margaritas, yes.
I didn't know that.
This is Drinks with Leaders. I should have brought drinks.
During the pandemic, it was totally normal to drink on a Tuesday.
Just throwing this out there, one of my favorite things to do recently as a 45-year-old middle-aged woman in Overland Park / Olathe is do margarita flights.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
God, Aaron, Julie, and I need to join you for that one time. That'd be great.
Listen, you know who your only competition with the margarita flights are around here? Main Event. You can totally whoop them out, but I've been going there for their margarita flights.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go at Tiki Taco, and I'm at 119th and Plum.
We'll let the powers that be
Tell
know.
me you're a Johnson County mom without telling me you're a Johnson County mom.
Well, here's the thing. I'm also online dating, right? So I have to have somewhere to meet these people. I have to have margaritas. So it's just working out. All the things knocked out.
Best entertainment.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Joy. How are your 2025 goals going, and how can the Kansas City community help you?
Yeah, 2025 is off to a great start. I'm growing my business by getting the word out to other people that are interested in creating vibrant lives, vibrant cultures in their corporations, working in corporate settings, work with private individuals. We have classes. We also have a team of trainers here in Kansas City, and we are working on growing our Kansas City IMS community. So yeah, and one thing that I do that I think is really interesting and helpful to people is if there's a good match, I have a few spaces each month for a complimentary 3-session course where you can learn about the training tools that we use and try it on.
Awesome.
That's very cool. You know, one way to grow your business is refer all your old law firm buddies to Aaron, and then Aaron sends you a bunch of business.
But the thought occurred to me, Aaron. I was just talking to somebody today that you might like to meet.
Scott and I never talk about our business. I was just excited. I appreciate that. How is it? Okay, so for people to connect with you, is LinkedIn the best place to connect with you at?
I have a website. I have a trainer page on a website, which is probably the most direct way to find me, but I am on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, maybe go leave that in the comments of this show. You'll get the link after this.
Okay.
So, and then I guess that I also want to ask Jake and Rich, where's the best place for people to connect with you guys at?
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. You can follow us on Instagram as well. We've made a recent content push on there where you can follow along in depth on one of our largest projects to date, where we renovated a 40,000 square foot shopping center in KC North. And we'll be launching some Tiki Taco build out content on there very soon as well that you can follow along with.
I love that. Okay, Rylan popped in, which is how you guys got to the show, said Jake McPhee and Rich Wiles are doing great.
Thank you, Rylan.
Thanks,
And then
Ryan.
I have a point to prove here. Casey said she loves a margarita flight.
By the way, Aaron, that's the buddy I work out with. We
That's
do a
fun.
little
Hi.
boot camp in the morning. Yeah.
And Aaron said, thank you for hosting such a fun conversation. I have meetings scheduled, so I have to hop off for that, but I will definitely be attending again. Flights of Margs next time. So you guys can just send me my consulting check after this. Awesome. Okay, here's the thing. Everybody stay until I say we're not live anymore. I did forget that in the rules. But here's the thing. You can connect with everybody right here on LinkedIn or Instagram, websites. Shoot me or Scott a message if you're trying to find people. We want to thank you guys so much for coming on. We want to thank Bestway, International and Evardy Construction so much for sponsoring, because we got to keep doing this 5 years now, over 800 guests, because they sponsor us. And thank you, Scott, so much for being the best co-host ever. Make sure you follow everyone, and we will be here same time, same place next week. Bye, guys.